Well, hi everybody. It's good to see you. I hope you're well. Won't you pull you up a chair and set a spell while we sit and talk about Appalachian mountain justice? Well, see, here in Appalachia, you best not mess with a man's family, his property, or the way he makes his money. If you do, you may not live to regret it. I got two stories I'm going to share with you today about that exact thing, Appalachian mountain justice. Both stories are true to my family. In Appalachia, if you get in trouble with the law, if folks don't believe you did anything wrong, they'll do everything they can to help you. See, back long ago, my ancestors fell on hard times. Everybody in their little community fell on hard times. There was no money to be made. The crops had failed, and they was all going to lose their farms. So what they did was all the men, the head of the houses in the community, got together and come up with a plan. Well, see, my ancestor had moonshiners in our family for years, but he chose not to do it because he didn't want to get in trouble with the law. He tried to be an honest man, but desperate times call for desperate measures. So the 5 men come up with the plan to where one man would donate the property, my ancestor would donate the steel, one man would bring the corn, the other one would bring the sugar. Of course, the other man's property had a creek on it, and the 5th man, well, he decided that he would help come up with a way to sell it. So one night they put the plan into action. The man who decided he'd sell it went hunting to see if he could find somebody to buy. He struck a deal with a man for 500 gallons of the finest mountain moonshine a man could make. So all the men got together at night, brought the sugar and the corn and made them a big old pot of mash. Once it set up and got ready, they started a brewing. Well, they got their order done and word spread they had some of the finest moonshine a man could ever want. They started selling real regular, and that old moonshine still, well, it saved everybody's farm. They split the money 5 ways, and once they got their own took care of, then they started helping everybody else, till the whole community was fine after that. But of course, the feds heard about the rumors of some of that fine moonshine, so they come hunting that old still. They caught the 5 men out there while they was making a brew, but the 5 men heard them coming, so they made a run for it. They got away from the police and they run to this old cabin stash house on the brow of the mountain. Somebody told the feds where they were at. They surrounded that old cabin and they told the men come out with their hands up or they was going to start shooting. And after a few minutes, nobody came out, so the feds started shooting. Apparently, in the midst of the bullet fires going through the house, one of the bullets struck a gallon of moonshine. The old cabin caught on fire and ended up burning to the ground. Well, word got back to all the wives what had happened. But see, what the feds didn't know was under the floor of that old cabin was an old passageway that went down into some caverns that run all through the mountain. So them fellers, well, they stayed hid up for a month or 2 till the feds got to where they wasn't hanging around no more, and then they went home. But see, the ladies knew that the feds would be watching them just in case them men got away. So they put a show on for the whole community. All the wives got together and they all mourned, and they even paid to have 5 wooden caskets made, and they dug a hole on one of the farms put the 5 caskets in it, and buried them all together. And once the feds stayed away, the lady sent word to the mountain by one of their kids, and the men got away. They lived for years after that, still running that old moonshine until they got too old, and then they just quit. Well, here's another story about Appalachian mountain justice. See, around here in these old hills and mountains, you don't go stealing from a moonshiner. You will not live to see the next day. Well, 3 men decided they'd start their little business and start selling moonshine, and they got a real big order. Well, the 3 men got the largest 100-gallon moonshine order filled, and they put the moonshine down in an old root cellar of an old house. Well, they went back the next day, and it was gone. Rumor got around that one of the 3 got greedy. Well, needless to say, one of the 3 come up missing and was never seen again. But at the same time, there was a strange coincidence. There was also another person come up missing. Well, years later, after the 2 men died, one of the 2 men that went missing showed up. He had a story to tell. He told that him and his girlfriend was going for a Sunday drive, which just so happened to be the day after the 3rd person that was in that group come up missing. And said he seen 2 of the men throwing a black garbage bag off a local creek. Said he just kept on driving till he got home. Well, the 2 men showed up at his house and told him, if you were smart, you'll leave and not ever come back. Well, he did exactly that. That very night, he packed up his bags and him and his family moved to Arizona, and he didn't come back until he heard the 2 men had died. Well, people began to wonder, is that story true? So they went under the bridge where that old trash bag was supposedly thrown, and they never found a thing. But there was also another strange coincidence. One of the local farmers' prized Jersey bulls came up missing the same time the other 2 men had come up missing. So, well, the rumor mill started to spinning, and they think what happened was that, of course, the 1 man took off to Arizona, but the 2 men went underneath that bridge and got that man, and cut that cow open and put that man inside that cow, and then buried the cow on another farm. So folks, heed the warning. Don't cross an Appalachian man in these old mountains. Well, folks, I want to thank you for sitting and listening to me talk about these old stories, Appalachian mountain justice. Thank you for listening. We love you to pieces, and we'll see you next time.